Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be learning about isotopes and some common questions that appear on tests. And so what are isotopes? Isotopes are atoms that have the same number of protons but different numbers of neutrons. Some commonly seen isotopes are carbon-14, which is used for carbon dating, so it dates back really old items. And so how do you find the number of neutrons? So before we get started on that, let's look at this carbon. So specifically, I drew out carbon, and so you can see this is how an element box would look like, with the name on top, the atomic number, which is the number of protons, the element, and the atomic mass, which is the average mass of all isotopes. And so one of the questions would be, how do you find the number of neutrons in an isotope? And so there's two specific ways that they usually draw it out. So they usually draw it out with a dash like this. And so this number, the 14, would represent the mass number, which is the number of neutrons plus protons. And how do you find the number of neutrons? So that means you'd have to take the mass number minus the atomic number, which you find on the periodic table, and that gives you the number of neutrons. So you see there's 14. The atomic number is 6, seen over here. So 14 minus 6 equals 8 neutrons. Another common way that they write it is like this, where they have the mass number on top and the atomic number on the bottom, and just simply subtract 14 minus 6 equals 8 neutrons. And so another common question would be, how do you find the least or most abundant isotopes? So one question would be, what is the least common isotope of carbon? And so one might think it might be C6, because it's so far away from the average mass of all isotopes, which is 12.011. But be careful, some isotopes do not exist. And so with that in mind, how do you find the least common isotope? You look at the atomic mass, and whichever is the farthest away is the least common. So the answer would be C14. And so the next question is, what is the most common isotope of carbon? Once again, it can't be C6 because C6 doesn't exist. So how would you look at it? The number closest to the atomic mass tends to be the most common isotope of carbon, which would be C12. Right? And so now the next most common question is, how do you find the atomic mass of an element? And so if you're given the abundances, what is the atomic mass of carbon? And you see, I've given you the abundances where C12 has an abundance rate of 98.93%, and C13 has an abundance rate of 1.07%. And you might be asking, where's C14? Well, C14 is in such small amounts that it doesn't even matter if it is in the equation or not. It doesn't really affect anything. And so how would you do this? You'd take the mass and you'd multiply it by the percent abundance. And then you'd also take the mass of this one times the percent abundance. And so then now you'd add all of these up. So to find the atomic mass, you find these and add them together. And so this is how we do it. So there's 12 times 0.9893 because percentages are out of 1. So 0.9893. And so that's how you find that one. And then 13.003 times 0.0107 because that is 1.07%. And you find that the atomic mass of carbon is 12.011, and you can fact check it right there.